Fala aí, rapaziada, como é que vocês estão? Eu sou o Bruno Borges.
E eu sou Gabriel Souza e nós somos a Brasil Bodybuilding News. Amigos, e vamos começar os temas desse vídeo de hoje falando aí sobre Stephane Matala. Meus amigos, hoje o homem anunciou um passo muito importante na sua carreira. O Matala desistiu de competir no OLYMPIA desse ano pela Classic Physique e anunciou que vai ir para a categoria Open. Ele fez um pronunciamento sobre isso nas redes sociais e disse que estava aí cansado de sofrer demais na preparação e ter que sacrificar músculo para bater peso na Classic. Então, em consenso ali com seu coach Patrick Tour, eles optaram por migrar de vez para a categoria Open e nem tentar competir na Classic do OLYMPIA desse ano. Bom, na vitória do Stephane lá em Portugal e toda aquela polêmica da medição de altura dele, já ficou nítido demais que o cara não tinha mais como se manter na Classic e ele tinha um risco real de se preparar para o OLYMPIA na Classic, chegar no dia da pesagem e não conseguir bater o peso, porque a medição do OLYMPIA é bem mais rigorosa do que aquela medição lá do Portugal Pro. Mas enfim, falando um pouco mais sobre a decisão em si dele, acredito que foi a melhor decisão porque ele tem potencial aí muito grande mesmo para ser um bom atleta Open, pelo seu nível de densidade e muscularidade, e agora sem precisar sacrificar o músculo na preparação. Claro que a gente tem que levar em conta que agora ele meio que, entre aspas, volta por final da fila, indo para Open, porque vai precisar adicionar muito volume para rivalizar com os top Olympias. Mas a situação dele na Classic já estava meio que insustentável. Mas e vocês, meus amigos? Gostaram dessa notícia do Matala na Open? Acham que ano que vem, após um bom off-season, ele já tem condições de vencer algum Pro Show na Open e se qualificar para o Olympia? Comentem essas opiniões e vamos continuando com os temas de hoje.
E dando continuidade aos assuntos de hoje falando sobre evolução, deem só uma olhada nesse post que nós fizemos recentemente, destacando a evolução do Ramon em apenas 2 anos de trabalho, utilizando como base imagens do OLYMPIA de 2021 com o OLYMPIA de 2023, só para vocês terem noção do tamanho da curva de evolução que o Ramon teve neste curto período de tempo. Chama a atenção o quanto o Ramon adicionou maturidade muscular nesse shape em 2 anos, mas com certeza o ponto que mais impressiona é a evolução no tamanho das costas que ele teve. Isso foi algo realmente impressionante e foi o ponto que a galera mais comentou elogiando. Realmente, amigos, tem alguns atletas com genéticas fora da curva demais e a gente tá bem ansioso para ver essa versão de 2024. Será que ele vai dar um salto de evolução em relação ao shape de 2023? Deixem aí nos comentários.
Bom, e não tem como não deixar num vídeo de hoje a opinião aí do gringo Greg Dossett, que viralizou hoje em vários canais brasileiros, onde ele deu um top 5 Classic Olympia extremamente polêmico e praticamente disse que é impossível o Ramon ganhar do Wesley VISSERS nesse Olympia. O canal do nosso colega brasileiro RJB Bodybuilding trouxe essa opinião desse gringo e mesclou com opiniões do Nick Stranded Power, que é outro gringo aí que vem colocando em xeque a capacidade do Ramon de ganhar do Cepacol. Confiram aí o que os dois falaram e não deixem de comentar as suas opiniões.
In third place, don't hate me, Brazil. I tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. You want to hear that Ramon Dino is him. The up-and-comer that's finally going to take his place as the Mr. Olympia champion. The man who's been placing second at the Olympia and waiting graciously for his turn once CBUM retires, or perhaps even dethroning him. But after competing at the Arnold Classic, of which I was there in person, and seeing Wesley VISSERS defeat him, and I don't believe by a little bit, I do believe he won handedly, I have to relegate Ramon Dino to third place. I don't even think at this point that the Brazilian fans believe that Ramon Dino could defeat Chris Bumstead. And remember, of all the people in the world, the people from your own country, clearly they're biased. They're cheering for their local champion. They want Ramon Dino to come out as the victor, the Mr. Olympia champion. But remember, placing top 3 in the world, that is still an amazing task. In comparison, Ramon Dino, he doesn't have quite the shreds of Chris Bumstead. Yeah, he's thick, he has the forearms, the biceps, and so on, but he doesn't have as wide of shoulders as Chris Bumstead. And when you look at CBUM next to Ramon Dino, CBUM has a lot more muscle than Ramon Dino. Remember, I don't just think that the larger person should win, but as it stands right now, they do favor the larger competitors. And seeing as Chris Bumstead in fact poses better and is leaner and has more muscle and a much better vacuum pose, I do believe that he is easily going to edge out Ramon Dino. It didn't say he's edging to Ramon Dino. He's going to edge him out as the Mr. Olympia champion. And so Nick's Strength and Power showing Ramon Dino 3 weeks out. And yeah, he looks aight. He's lean, he has great muscles, but not to the extent of Chris Bumstead. There is a clear and distinct difference. Chris Bumstead, in my opinion, is light years ahead of Ramon Dino. And so my personal opinion is Chris Bumstead going to beat Ramon Dino by a landslide. It's not even going to be close. It's not going to be, I wonder if he could win. I don't believe that following the competition, Ramon Dino fans are going to walk and exit the stage and say he was ripped off. Must be politics. And remember, Ramon Dino was defeated by Wesley VISSERS. Wesley VISSERS has not defeated CBUM, and so if you assume that Ramon Dino is somehow going to beat Wesley VISSERS, then you have to be asking yourself, well, how is that going to happen? Wesley VISSERS beat him handily at the Arnold Classic. And so you're thinking, well, if Ramon Dino wants to beat Wesley, then Ramon has to make those improvements. And so do you really think that Ramon Dino just has to come in a little bit sharper, a little bit tighter, and that he'll leapfrog over Wesley VISSERS? I don't think so.
The upset at the Arnold Classic was probably the biggest upset of the year. And I think Ramon understands the gravity of the situation that he's in.
And so, yeah, there was a major upset, but there's going to be even bigger upset at this year's Mr. Olympia.
When it comes to this year's Mr. Olympia, he's got to reclaim that spot above Wesley.
And so when Nick says he's got to reclaim that spot, he more should be saying he wished he could reclaim that spot. He ain't got to do nothing. He's going to show up at his best, and at his best, the best he can hope for is third.
He's got to be way better than the Arnold. He's got to fix his posing. He can't be up there kind of shaky, not looking confident.
And so fixing his posing, that can do, but showing up way better than he did at the Arnold, it's not going to happen.
He looks great in all these updates that we've seen, but I still wonder if it's going to be enough to beat Wesley.
The answer is no. It's not even going to be close to being enough. It's not even going to be a close call. And I'm telling you, Wesley is way better than you people think. Remember, I had written him off years ago, but I saw him in person, and I know what he's been able to do.
Because I think if we're being honest, I think the Arnold Classic really set Ramon back, at least in the eyes of his fans.
Well, of course it did. He was expected to win. Wesley VISSERS came out of nowhere and dominated, that's right, dominated that competition.
He definitely lost, I think, a significant amount of the momentum that he had. And like we've talked about a lot, the conversation has really changed.
And remember, you're only as good as your last show. They're not going to remember him from the year before, 2 years prior, and so on. They're going to remember that's the guy that Wesley VISSERS beat. And so when they walk out on stage at the Mr. Olympia, the judges are going to be thinking, did Ramon Dino improve enough to beat and overcome Wesley VISSERS? And the answer is not even close. If anything, it's going to be separated by even more. Wesley VISSERS at the Olympia is going to dominate Ramon Dino.
If Ramon loses to Wesley again at the Olympia back-to-back, and he's on, it's really bad for Ramon.
Bad for Ramon would be if he doesn't make first call-out, if he shows up off, if several other competitors leapfrog over him. But to continue to make top three year after year, that is amazing.
And I say that because in these updates, like I said, he looks great. He looks like he's going to be on. He looks like he's going to be better than the Arnold Classic.
Well, let's now see, what does it look like Wesley VISSERS is going to look like? Remember, if Wesley VISSERS shows up without doing what he did for the Arnolds, perhaps he comes in soft, just goes for the fullness, doesn't want to have the shreds, or loses a lot of muscle. Of course, Wesley VISSERS could go down, but it's not happening.
I think with Wesley, if Wesley comes in better than the Arnold and he beats Ramon, or an on version of Ramon, Wesley's definitely next in line.
Wesley is next in line. The question now is that next in line this year, or is it next? And are you freaking kidding me? Look at bro. Bro is him. This guy has so much size, more so than even Chris Bumstead. He's taller than Chris, and right now he's leaner than Chris. He has a better back. The back muscles have more detail, more definition. The delts, striated. And the biceps, are you kidding? Chris doesn't have any biceps. Wesley Vissers, in comparison to Chris, biceps are light years ahead of him. And so this is Wesley 3 weeks out. Do you really think Ramon Dino has a chance? Wesley Vissers already 3 weeks out guest posing in his studio could beat Ramon Dino right now. And so if Wesley Vissers doesn't do anything, he just shows up like he is right now, perhaps not even with a proper tan, he's still going to place minimum in the top 2.
And in this guest posing, his legs, to me, look bigger, but the proportion of his legs to his upper body is off.
Now listen, you can only have so much weight within your weight class. If you focus on your legs, having massive quads, hamstrings, and so on, you're going to have a smaller upper body. And that's what happened to me. When I competed in classic physique, I had great legs, but that unfortunately capped out my weight class. I couldn't get the upper body that I needed. Now, if I trained my upper body more and shrank my legs, I'd have a larger upper body, but then I'd have smaller legs. And so pick your poison. And so Wesley Vissers can't just have 10 pounds bigger muscles in his legs and 10 pounds bigger muscles in upper body. You have to pick one. And so, yeah, his upper body is slightly better, more developed than his lower body. But so isn't everyone. Everyone has one body part better than the other. Do you really think that Chris Bumstead is dominant in every single body part? Do you really think he has the best biceps in the world? I don't like his quads, his hamstrings. I don't like his biceps. But he's still a dominant Mr. Olympia champion. Now, with Wesley Vissers, in comparison to Chris, Wesley has wider shoulders. Wesley also has more density in the shoulders and the back. It has more hardness and graininess. I do believe that Wesley Vissers has finally discovered this is what it takes to be a champion. You have to diet harder than last time. CBUM, he's known this for years. You got to show up at 4% body fat, perhaps even less. The leaner you are, the more striations everywhere that you're going to see. And so Wesley Vissers, he's putting in his homework. He's coming in fuller, leaner, more muscles than ever before. Now, the one thing, well, two things that Chris Bumstead has in comparison to Wesley Vissers is CBUM has the smaller waist. Smaller waist gives the illusion of more size everywhere else. Also, when you have a smaller waist, that's muscles you can put everywhere else. The smaller your waist, the lighter you're going to be. And so it allows Chris to have more lats, more quads, and so on. And the next thing is Chris has the best side chest in the business. The detail in the quads and the hamstrings from the side, it's unbeatable. No one, and I repeat, no one comes close to this. And so I posted on Instagram, who's going to come out on top, Wesley Vissers or Chris Bumstead? 64% of people say that CBUM has got it. 18% said that Wesley's got it, while 18% says it's very close. And so many people have been saying, is it Ramon, Dino, or Wesley for second place? What is the battle going on? When the reality is, the battle is for first place. Third place, it's already going to be Ramon Dino. We already know this. But the real question is, can Wesley defeat CBUM? And to answer that, I'm saying he can. However, I don't think that Wesley is going to improve enough this year in order to beat CBUM. CBUM, as far as I know, has had no setbacks in 2024. What could have possibly derailed him or held him back was the fact that he had a baby. But CBUM has made videos saying, the Olympia comes first. I learned to say no 98% of the time. I've avoided going to Gymshark events and so on, and I'm here training. I'm doing what needs to be done. CBUM is not going into this to get second place. He's going to be at his all-time best. He's larger and going to be just as lean as ever before. And so my personal opinion is it's going to take a miracle to defeat the 5-time champion. Wesley Vissers has already made a huge upset. He's beaten Ramon Dino at the Arnold Classic. But to beat Chris Bumstead, the 5-time Olympia champion, on his own turf, I don't think he's ready for that. Now remember, I'm not saying that it's not possible. If Chris Bumstead actually showed up off, or if he had some kind of an injury, I do believe Wesley's going to win. But barring injury or some unforeseen circumstance, I don't believe CBUM is going to show up looking anything less than his all-time best.
Who do you guys think would best fill the overall void that's going to be left by Chris?
And as far as retirement, I don't think CBUM is ready to retire. I think he should retire for his health, for his family, and so on. but I don't think he can. This is all he knows. At the end of this year, he's going to be a 6-time Mr. Olympia champion. He's won every single year. This is what he does. He's also been given equity in Gymshark, and I do believe that if he were to retire, he's going to lose a massive amount of his followers. People follow Chris Bumstead because they want to see him win the Mr. Olympia champion. You can debate me, you can argue with me and say, no, they don't. They just want to see him smile. That's bullshit. And how do I know this? Because every time the Olympia rolls around, he grows huge amounts of followers and gets double, 3 times, sometimes 4 times the views as he does in the off season. And so when are people following Chris the most? When Chris Bumstead is dieting at single-digit body fat, prepared to battle at the Mr. Olympia. And so if he retires from the Olympia, what do you think is going to happen? The followers, they lose interest. You're only as good as your last competition, and so if you skip competing, well, the fans, they soon forget. CBUM, I do believe he's not going to retire. I believe he's going to continue next year and possibly even the next. He's shown that he can balance having a family as a baby while still training harder than last time and dieting with no problem. And so if he wins this year's Mr. Olympia for the 6th straight time, defeating Wesley VISSERS, why wouldn't he simply do it again?